right, welcome to main show number 8 of the TRC main show of the TRC podcast. Today, I've got with me Anthony.
Hello.
And Levi.
Hello, how's it going?
Right. Well, fellas, it's another week, another podcast, right?
Another day, another dollar, right? Is what they say.
Something like that.
As they say. So let's get right into the action. So lately, we've been doing a little bit of hustle and bustle.
It has felt like a crazy week.
Yeah.
I'd say the last week has felt like a crazy. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well,
last week, this week.
All our SEMA. We've been prepping for SEMA.
SEMA stress.
Yeah.
You guys, for those of you that don't know.
Some SEMA stress now.
We've got a lot because even though this is our first time going to SEMA as a company, we're also going as an exhibiting company.
Yep.
And even though we're only doing a 10 by 20 booth, there is a ton of prep that we have had to do.
Yeah.
A lot.
Anthony and I and Dane all got our photos taken.
Yeah.
So we look fancy, and that's nice. And then you've been designing our backdrop and our banners.
Got some nice banners that we're going to put those pictures that Bart took of us to good use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then our tables, we've had one of our guys come he builds bicycles.
Yeah.
He's a fabricator of that, so he's come to look at the tables because we're building something onto them.
Yeah.
And then we had our sign guy show up this morning, and he looked at the tables because we're going to have some wraps and some stuff done to them.
They gotta look nice, you know?
It's just getting that, and then on top of that, like laying out what our booth is going to look like downstairs in the studio.
This is for SEMA, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, this is SEMA prep, everything. Yeah. So we've had to do a ton. It's felt like every day.
Oh, yeah.
Like we've had something to get done.
Something's coming up to where we're like, oh, wait, we have to do this too. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Adding on to our plate.
Even to our travel plans and trying to get it all figured out for the 6 of us that are going down.
It's going to be a fun road trip mixed with a few flights and all kinds of here and there and everywhere. So
but
road tripping is going to be a good time.
Yeah, we always have fun on them.
I'm looking forward to that because
I'm excited to have John on our road trip too.
Oh, I know. He's just going to give us so much crap the entire time.
I'm excited.
I'm joking about. I'm probably just going to be sitting in the back seat sleeping, and I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to be to fall. I'm not going to be able to fall asleep on that trip.
No.
I don't think he's going to let me.
No.
But yeah, so it's been needless to say, a ton of work.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be worth it when we see, hopefully, some of you out there.
You got to come see us in the pavilion.
Come check us out.
We're right when you, if you guys take Ubers or taxis or Lyfts or any of that to SEMA, that is where they will drop you off right at the very entrance of the, by the Performance Pavilion. So
where you hear all the screeching tires, I think. Yeah.
So that's where the BMW driving experience will be and all that. So
should be a good time.
We hope it'll make it easy on everybody because we'll be the first faces that you see.
Yeah. And we're friendly faces.
Yeah, friendly faces. We'll greet you and we'll give you a hug if you want a hug.
Okay, I will say, like on those banners where we got the photos taken for you guys, when you go to SEMA, a lot of the posters you see of people, they're looking all tough. You know, they got their arms folded and they got that really like serious, like, yeah, I know I'm cool face on them. But we wanted to do somewhere
fun.
Yeah, so we mix it up. We had some fun, but we wanted to make sure, like, you know, when you see us on there, we look inviting. Yeah. You know, like, I want to talk to that guy.
With our posters.
Not like, I wonder if that guy's going to challenge me to a fight.
No.
I think some posters convey.
Yeah, I really like yours. I thought that was
friendly. I'm doing the
He has the inquisitive look. Yeah.
I loved it. It was awesome.
So
I didn't know we were allowed to do that. No.
Well, I would have brought props.
Yeah. Jeez, I would have had a smoking pipe and a deer hunter hat. And I could look like Sherlock Holmes.
That would have been different. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, okay, another thing to point out is we've actually got lights going on here, so you can actually see Levi. I know in the last, it was our first time doing the video, and we needed to figure out like the lighting situation. But now I can see you guys, and people at home who are watching on YouTube can see you.
We don't look like we're in a cave made of rock.
And then people outside the room don't have to be concerned why the lights are off inside this room with three guys in there.
Yeah, you hear 3 voices, and it's like,
what's going on in that padded room? You know?
Oh, man.
Good stuff.
All right, well, so we got that knocked out with the banners, the displays, and we're actually going to be recording the podcast when we're down at SEMA. So a little bit
come
of
down, say hi, get on the podcast, and just have some fun with us.
So if you come by our booth, who knows, you might get interviewed.
Yeah.
That's up to you, of course.
Yep, and of course, come take selfies with us. That's always
fun.
Yes, it is.
Find us.
We always look forward to
Take a picture with Levi in front of the banner of Levi.
Yeah.
And do the double.
I could get on one side and myself.
Yeah,
it's
like you're practically just,
Yeah.
It's all of us in the middle.
Yeah. Oh,
could be
man.
That should have been your banner pose. You just taking a selfie.
Should have.
And then you could have been like, come get a selfie in front of Levi.
Yeah, just like stretched out. Yeah.
Someone could get inside there.
Come on in.
Oh, man.
So,
there's still time. Bart's across the street.
I know. I can change them right now. Yeah.
No, so we have a lot planned for when we're down there and recording podcasts, recording videos. And so we're open to a lot of ideas. I'm sure we'll come up with some crazy idea before we get down there, and
it's just so fun doing these.
We like doing these a lot. All right, so moving on. So we have our new quick looks of our towel-specific videos on the TRC YouTube channel. We probably mentioned this before in a previous one.
Yeah, we mentioned it a few times, but I like bringing it up because we keep bringing more and more out.
Yeah, so that's something a lot of you guys can look forward to is that every week we're going to be putting out more and more of these, and me and Dane are going to be filming some more here in a short period of time on more of our Korean towels that we have. I think as of this week, you'll be looking forward to seeing the 245 video that I'm working on right now. Yep. And the 245 is an extremely versatile towel.
It's a great towel.
It's awesome.
It's price
inexpensive, and it can do everything.
It does, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think in the video we focused a lot on interior cleaning and then wheel cleaning, dirty job cleaning like for engine bays and stuff like that. So you guys will see a cool little 30-second peek of that. Then last week we had the Minx and then the 365 that we released, and so those are also two great towels for the price. So so soon we're going to be focusing on a lot of more Korean towels, getting more of those out there since those are a lot of our best sellers. For right now, we just kind of wanted to test the waters and see how these quick looks do, and a lot of people love them because they work great on product pages. They are easily shareable, and they're just the right length to where
30 seconds.
They keep you interested.
You'll hang in there for 30 seconds.
Well, and it's been something that we have been striving to do
for a
all
long
year.
Time.
But just with our schedules and building and putting all this stuff together,
we do a lot of stuff.
We do a lot, so it's like we get these extra stuff dropped on to the plate, so to speak. And we sometimes don't know that they're a priority.
Well, and then at the end of the day, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're a towel company. We better actually show some towels so people want to buy them.
I mean, that's what's been so great though, is at least the way I look at it is we've been building the channel. So
we build interest, and hopefully we build loyalty. Like you guys want to hang around.
So now that we're doing these little towel quick look videos, people are watching them and receiving them really well.
And I think with some of those towels, something like a 245, it doesn't immediately cross people's minds just how many ways you can use a towel like that. Because you see a towel and you're just like, oh, that's like a thin towel. Well, actually, a thin towel could be really useful for a lot of different things.
I always loved it. A lot of people always thought that you needed a big fluffy or cushy towel for interiors, and I loved it because it was so thin and tactile.
We love our plush
towels. My guys
towels,
would go blowing through an interior, I like that they could feel the buttons underneath the towel. I like that they could still feel have that dexterity or tactile feel, so that they weren't just having this huge towel it's this thick that they're just wiping over
and just hoping that things are being picked up in the process.
This way you could actually feel under the surface, you could rub, you could
it's
work.
Also,
and it's absorbent enough that
it's actually shockingly absorbent for such a thin little towel. It really does work well.
It's just really pliable, and so it's so thin to where you can use what I like to use is if I'm ever using interior detailing brushes, I'll actually flip the brush over to where I have the wooden handle portion, wrap a towel around that, and stick that in areas and vents and stuff like that where I can't normally get to with a brush, for example.
So when you pull it back out, you look at all the stuff you picked up. Oh man.
Oh, exactly. No, it's it's a thin but absorbent towel, and it just keeps going. So
what I always like, this is like a little top tip. It's a little trick I used to do.
All right, here it comes.
I'd take a 245 and I'd soak it in O&R, a fresh one.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'd wring it out.
Stop it! You're getting me excited over
I'd
here.
wring it out, making sure it was really wrung out. But then what I would do is I'd lay it over an air vent. And then I would take my air gun and I would blow through the towel over the air vent.
Yeah.
And it would force the towel into each one of those little slots.
Oh, okay.
And as I ran that because I have a needle nose air gun,
yeah.
and I could almost stick it in and push it into those vents with the towel kind of as a little barrier.
Yeah.
And blow
what
through.
you're doing with your hand movement here, Levi, is getting a little intimate here. So,
but when you do that, you'd almost create like a tiny little pressure washer, so to speak, because it would blow the O&R through the towel through with the air, but it would allow it to clean and scrub, and that was one way we'd clean extra dirty vents or things like that we could
Makes sense.
do a lot easier
That's
than
great.
getting a brush out
or
for some
spraying O&R or soaking an area. I mean, getting it too wet.
You're almost misting it, so to speak.
So for those of you at home with the tools to do it, maybe give that a shot.
Yeah, it's kind of, that was our little go-to for all that.
Oh, yeah.
Made it easy.
Fun trick.
Makes life simple. Well, I was also going to, I should leave this up to Anthony.
Wow, why are you leaving
Wash Wednesday, my friend.
Yeah. Hold on. So Wash Wednesday. So we had a lot of fun with Alex and her Ford Raptor. If you guys saw it, so that released last Wednesday is what it was, right?
Yeah, people have been enjoying
check it out if
that
you
one.
haven't.
So it was a lot of fun to do. Turned out awesome. Dane did a great job editing that. Thank you, Dane.
I'm always concerned if we don't get like enough like action driving shots. I'm like, I hope people like it, but actually, she was great to talk to, and just
Alex
the
is so much
conversation
fun.
you guys have in the car is fun. It's funny, and it
was a different viewpoint.
Yeah, because I know people's first instinct Raptor. We're gonna go over some whoops and like drive over a humongous jump, and it's like, well,
go get tacos.
We gotta go a little ways out of town, and we didn't quite have enough time to do that, but that's okay. We got tacos. So.
Yeah. No, Alex, she's definitely she's a very smart girl. She's a pharmacist for anybody that's interested. So she's very smart. She's
legal drug dealer.
Yeah, the legal drug dealer. She's got a lot of cool toys and stuff. But her Raptor's her baby, and so I think she did an awesome job modifying it and kind of getting it to look the way it does. And she also kind of has the knowledge to back it up. If somebody's like, "Hey, cool mods," and they ask her a question, she actually has an answer for you, which is surprising.
Yeah,
so
she actually did it. So.
Yeah, she did. I mean. So she knows a lot about that stuff, but I think the whole episode was really fun and informative, and so she takes care of her truck. So we didn't get to go off-roading or anything, but we went and grabbed some tin roof tacos, which is, I think, just as good because
really
those are delicious.
And we got a slow motion foam montage because we kind of been on a foam kick lately, so
it's fun. It looks good in video. Slow mo, and it always looks good. So,
but for the next one, we went back to good old O&R.
Oh yes,
we did. So. Levi, if you want to jump in and give us some input on our
how much do we want to let them know?
What? I thought about it. I thought about maybe teasing it, but now I've just decided, we can talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts.
The next Wash Wednesday that we built, was a mashup between Wash Wednesday and Details with Levi. Basically, my friend Tyler Senarusa, who was a previous person on Wash Wednesday with
the
his
red
M3.
E46 M3.
Yep. Paints helmets and stuff. We've been friends since high school. He purchased a brand new GT350R. Mm-hmm. And he still has the M3, so he didn't get rid of that.
Don't worry, it's still there.
Yeah. But he did buy himself a GT350R in white. And that thing's
the stormtrooper looking.
It's beautiful.
So he brought that over. He had been letting me know that when he got it, he'd had it on order. He'd been looking for one. When we shot the M3 Wash Wednesday, he was literally in negotiations.
Yeah, it sounded like during the shoot.
Right before the shoot, and then during the shoot, and then at the end, when we all left, I asked him, I was like, so, did you get all that stuff taken care of and got the paperwork? And he goes, yeah, they ended up selling the car off from under me.
Like a narrow miss.
They sent the contracts. They emailed all the contracts to him. He had filled them all out, but hadn't sent them back because we were there shooting. Yeah. And I felt really bad that he had lost out on a car while we were there. So it meant a lot that he wanted to do the video again with us. But this time when he finally got his car, then we were able to get together, and we ended up gloss coating the whole vehicle. It is PPF'd with SunTech and almost about an 80% coverage.
So I haven't even started to edit this one yet. I've just been kind of reviewing some of the footage. This one's going to be a lot different than our normal Wash Wednesdays, just because of the way the process.
Well, and it was cool because we kind of did a couple of the different versions. So
you'll see
from both shows. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. The screenshot, the thumbnail is amazing that Dane took. But if you want, you can see on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, we actually took a picture of the car.
So you can see what it looks like.
So it's on there. I've got some I haven't posted yet. So I can do that this week, and you guys can check it out. But it was we had a lot of fun.
It was work,
We spent
though.
the whole day.
It was work. Like, I mean, we had fun doing it, but I mean, really, I kind of felt bad we didn't talk to the camera as much because we actually had a lot to do.
And the goal of this video, too, was one, still do this mashup between us, but also I've been fielding a ton of phone calls and emails and just questions from people asking, I got gloss coat, here I'm going to do it. And our gloss coat video is our largest viewed
It's a
video
very
on
popular
our
video.
channel.
If it's not the top one, it's in the top like 3. So it's
and we explain it. We're there with Yvonne in my shop, and we explain it pretty well, but we only do a quarter pound. We do one fender on the Cobra.
And some people take things quite literally, so
Right.
you need to see the entire
So we
process.
shot this video as a full start to finish of us gloss coating the wheels, the entire body of the car, all the plastics, all the glass except for the windshield. And then I got Tyler some OptiCoat, interior guard, and leather coat and fabric guard that he was able to put on
coated
himself
the interior too
while we were doing the rest of the stuff on the outside. So his car is now protected pretty well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it already looked so good.
Yeah.
So,
It was brand new. I mean,
it was a brand new car.
It was white.
That had been PPF'd. And so.
Now, granted, PPF does have a certain look to it. Some people are fans. Some people.
His looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't see that normal, orange pill
and
look.
it's white because it's in white. It's a little lighter, so it's not as noticeable.
Yeah. But putting the gloss on it, really, it's going to make a substantial
give
difference.
it'll look really nice. So that was a fun fun project to do. When he left, I was like, that was the best day of work ever.
Yeah. It was wheels off, by the way. We did the wheels off detail.
Because we get those comments sometimes, like, you didn't clean the wheels. And it's like, well, we usually say up front, like, if that's going to be a part of it or not. This time, the wheels came off. The car was
carbon
lifted
fiber
on
wheels.
jacks.
Yeah.
And, those
First
carbon fiber wheels.
First production car with carbon fiber wheels. I mean, that type of production for Ford. And
the only other place you're getting it is a Koenigsegg.
Yeah. So we pulled. I mean, these things. They're big wheels, and it's got a lot of rubber on it.
315 by 19s on the back,
Yeah.
and then
it was freaky how light they were, though. Like when you pick them up,
or something,
Yeah.
they were huge. They were wide.
fat tires.
Yeah.
But you pick one up, and they weigh like my Miata
Anthony
wheels.
almost threw it up in the air when he went to pick it up. It was so light. He had flexed his muscles and was ready to go, and it just shot up in the air.
It was really light. We pulled off the wheels. We gave them a really good clean, and then we polished the faces. Gave it the barrels a quick polish as well. But these wheels, because of the brakes on, you got to see the brakes on this GT350.
Massive carbon ceramic
You
brakes.
get a lot of good up close
They're
looks at
insane,
'em.
but the amount of dust they release is crazy
Also
as well.
insane.
So, I mean, it was good that we gloss coated it, but I mean, it's a lot of cleanup work on those black wheels, and the black paint on those wheels was extremely soft as well. So we were pretty much polishing it, wiping them down, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be soft. They're probably going to get some marring, the more you clean them, but I mean, they look good for right now, and I was happy with them.
Yeah.
No, it came out good. The car looked good. Tyler was happy. And it didn't rain when he drove home.
Yeah.
No, and that was the
lucked out.
thing we should mention. We're actually still having to shoot the latter part of the episode tomorrow.
It was raining all day when we were shooting.
Yeah, it was a good thing we planned to do that in the shop.
Yeah.
So
you probably shouldn't be coating outdoors anyway, but
we're gonna shoot the driving portion tomorrow, and that'll
Should
be
be a
fun.
good time.
Quick little driving bit with some out of car shots, so you guys can hear it.
I mean, if the
see
M3
and
video
hear
was any indication, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So
it was cool.
Yeah.
So we did that. We're looking forward to that, and I don't know. I mean, are you guys gonna gloss coat anything else soon?
It is kind of tempting after
could do
watching how
glasses.
easy it was.
We could do my glasses.
Well, for a while there, we actually gloss coated everything. You gloss coated our stage for
the
SEMA. You
studio
gloss
was
coated
gloss coated.
everything. You're just looking around like, what's next?
We could gloss coat this table.
Yep.
Because
you could.
We had
You
that
really
gloss
could.
coat vial that we don't know where we must have put the cap somewhere. We forgot where Levi couldn't find the cap.
Yeah, we've
for
got to
it,
gloss
so,
coat something quick.
So we're like, we need to gloss coat something. Hey, we can gloss coat this computer right here.
Yeah, we
That's
could.
true.
This
Do
camera's
that.
sitting
But-
on.
I think a big part of the reason we wanted to do this video, like you're saying, you get comments and stuff, but a big part of it was people don't believe it's as easy as It really is, at least for gloss coat.
Yeah.
There are other coatings that are more difficult to apply. Certainly, there's certainly, but the prep is very important. It's like painting. You want to make sure you do good prep before you get in there.
Well,
and
the
do
prep
it.
is easy as well.
Yeah,
so
and
as long as you
with
follow the
this,
instructions, the
it's
whole
very straightforward.
system's super easy to do.
And we show you how to do that in this Wash Wednesday Details with Levi mashup. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was it's super easy, and it looks good, and it feels good, soft. So but other than that, as far as other videos, podcasts, stuff like that we've been kind of watching, I've been watching, I guess in this segment of our podcast where we start talking about YouTube videos, I kind of showed Dane some videos. We always send each other stuff. And Crispy Media is a guy on YouTube who... and
I've enjoyed watching his stuff before, like finding it, but I hadn't subscribed before. And now after watching a few more, it's like, oh, I got to subscribe to that.
So for the people who don't know who he is, he did a lot of Stance Nations. I mean, for the people who may or may not like Stance Nation.
Some people are into that, some people aren't.
A lot of their cinematic footage when they were first kind of getting off the ground, and he has just gotten better and better and bigger and bigger, and so now he's doing...
There's no disputing the quality of his work,
He's
doing
videos for RWB, which is Nakai, I can't remember what was that, Nakai's son, Nakai something.
Raoul Begriff?
Yeah. So the RWB
Nakai,
Porsche
his last name's Nakai.
Yeah,
I know that much.
So he's doing videos for him, and they're crazy. I mean, these videos are so over the top. The production's insane. The driving footage is insane. And then on top of that, he's also vlogging, like why he's doing these, which I don't even know how it's possible.
Which for me is the stuff that I really got into, because I always love those videos and stuff. But you watch a lot of these, and of course, for someone like me who's into making videos, editing and stuff, you want to know how it was made a lot of times. Same way with detailing, it's like, wow, that finished product sure looks great, but how'd you get there?
Right.
Yeah.
So seeing the behind-the-scenes vlogs and stuff that he shot, I was just watching a few of them, including the RWB in Tampa one and stuff like that. Holy cow, when you see their setups for how they get some of these shots, it's like chains and a harness hanging out the back of a Denali. Pretty crazy stuff.
Pretty crazy. So I watched that, and then I watched this really cool video. It was by Donut Media, which was a
Donut's fun.
It was an 86, or I guess a BRZ Toyota 86 FRS. That body style that they swapped a Ferrari motor into.
4586.
Yeah.
So SEMA.
Yeah. So
I remember I didn't get to actually walk up and look at the car. Someone said, "Go look for that."
So I think I'm the one who told you, because I
you.
had been watching the build and I was really wanting somebody who was there to go look at it.
Like, go look at it. And I walked by and there was a crowd of about, probably 100 people around that car. And I was like, texted him later and I was like, I saw it, but there was huge crowd. Like, I didn't even get a chance to make it up to it.
It's a red FRS with a 458 engine stuffed in the front.
$25,000 car with I think they said it was a $45,000 motor that they picked up out of a wrecked or a totaled Ferrari and threw it in there, and so
it makes a great sound though. So cool. But in that video you were watching, Donut.
So in the video, in the video, back to it. They filmed a video of I guess the owner doing like some tow drifting somewhere in Portland or Oregon or somewhere.
Well, it's pro drifter Ryan Turk.
Yeah,
I believe.
So he was doing some drifting, and it shows the video of him coming around the corner out of another Ferrari 458, and so
that was crazy. They had a 458 Spider as their chase car with like a camera bolted to the front. It's like, wow, okay.
So this 86 comes around the corner from it in this awesome shot, and literally goes around this corner and just completely takes out a corner of a mountain with this 86.
It's kind of angled, so when he hits it, the car kind of does that hop,
jumps,
and it's
and then it says,
sketchy.
Then it like stops the video and says, "Yes, this really happened. Yes, this was the first shot of the day."
Turn
and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Because I'm sitting there like, "This really happened in this video."
You're not expecting it, because all these videos you see are usually it's all pro.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're watching like Ken Block video, you see all the skid marks from all the previous attempts, and then the final Gymkhana is like, okay, that's really cool, but you can tell it didn't just happen magically on the first take.
So they're
it's
just
cool they
honest
showed
with it.
And
And
really
then,
cool they showed
so
it.
then they fix the car in the video and show them fixing it. They happen to have all the parts with them, and then they jump straight back onto the road and finish the video, and it's some crazy drifting and the sounds of that this car makes, and
just
the
like Crispy,
visuals.
Donut's got some really cool cinematic stuff they shoot, and
really cool.
Similar aesthetic, like the kind of crowd it appeals to is probably similar, but it's awesome.
No.
I like their Up to Speed series, if you've ever seen that.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, for those listeners, if you like cars, go check those out. They basically give you a little history lesson about a particular popular car, whether it's a Miata or an RX-7 or anything like that. Anyway, I derailed.
Cool. Levi, what videos you been watching lately?
What you been watching?
Still in World War One.
Are you still in World War One?
Oh, yeah. The other ones that I'm doing is I'm fascinated with e-bikes.
E-bikes.
So
like electric
bicycles.
Or bicycles. Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I'm kind of a bicycle freak. My garage is not set up as a detailing studio. It is set up as a bike shop.
Yeah.
So I have a number of bicycles in my house, or not in my house, but in my garage. My little kids' bikes. My wife and I have a pair of tandems. So we have 2 tandems. So I joke that we have
tandems.
We have we could take the bikes out and we could bring some friends with us and they could take the other bike. And so I've got a bunch of different bikes. So part of me really wants to perhaps sell one of my bikes to buy a kit from Amazon to build my own e-bike. So I've been pricing it out. It's a couple $100 to do that.
Is it like a retrofit kit for a regular bike and you just put it on?
Yeah, okay. The only thing is it's most of them come with this like rear rack, and then you have to put the battery pack.
Oh, that's where you mount it?
That's where you put the battery pack, and then the controller fits in one of the side. And I try and want an aesthetic
look tacky
to it too. And so part of me looks at it and goes, well, let's just sell these 2 bikes, and then I'll buy a different bike, and then I'll buy the kit, and I can fit it all in this, and I can do this.
Because I picture the natural home being in between the frame, like
and then you don't want all the weight on the very back, top of the back tire. You want it in the middle of the frame. So, so I've been doing a lot of research on that, and I'm still debating as to whether or not I take my cruiser bike, my big bullhorn handlebar cruiser bike that I joke you can sit and smoke a cigarette on and ride a bike.
Nice. So stable.
Whether I want to do that bike and convert it into an electric bike to be able to ride to work for fun.
That'd be cool.
Or buy myself a fat bike, which are the fat tire bikes with the 4-inch wide tires.
Okay.
Those are pretty cool.
Buy a cheap one of those, because with an electric bike, you don't need to worry about weight. You actually want a steel frame or a very strong frame. So getting like a cheap Mongoose Dolomite and then adding an electric motor to that, because they make that same thing for the West. So
would it just be way too squirrely if you had like one of those 80s
on my single speed road bike, they make components for that, but I don't know if I'd want to. You could, but that bike, some would say, is better at a higher speed.
Yeah.
But weight-wise, that bike only weighs 13 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'd be adding another 40, 50 pounds of stuff to it. So it makes no sense as to why. That bike already does
on a big bike.
goes as fast as a electric bike would anyway when I'm pedaling it. So that's the kicker. This is one I just want to be able to sit and ride to work on and just kind of have fun. Because for those of you that aren't in Boise, we have what we call the Green Belt, and it is a pathway, a paved pathway.
How many miles long is it? It's miles.
It's probably 30 miles. It's about 15 on one side, 15 on the other. It's on both sides of the river, and there's many bridges that cross it. But it's a pathway that's for walking or bicycling. And I can go from 2 blocks from my house to the Greenbelt, and then I literally get off and I ride less than a quarter of a mile from the Greenbelt to here. So it's 7 miles of Greenbelt, with a half a mile from the Greenbelt to the building and a mile from the Greenbelt to my house.
Kind of like those paved golf cart paths you see
it's
on
basically
golf courses,
that's what it looks like, is a paved golf course.
Parks, around roads.
Yeah. And
gets you where you want to go.
It's a straight shot. So I was just thinking it'd be fun to get a electric bike just for more fun. It's nice. So I'm not soaked in sweat when I get to work.
It'd be a little more as the crow flies than driving.
It is. Yeah, and it is. It's more
maybe a drunk crow, but still crow.
It's a lot better than the city streets and all that. So
and at least you could take that on the green. I mean, I'd love to take my little motorcycle on. My Honda Grom. I'd love to mob on that on the green belt. I don't know how to get away with that.
You would get some looks, but with an electric one, that's the beauty of it, is nobody thinks twice about it. They just see you go by and That's it.
Yeah, I could pretend to pedal, literally.
Yeah, totally. Because you see those bikes that have like the little tiny little one-cylinder gas engine that they stick on that's like from a old 70s RC car that had the, little motor.
They're pretty cool.
The whole thing. But with an electric one,
well, and
it's pretty
if I got a fat tire bike, I could ride it in the snow.
Oh, true.
So because they
you throw some like knobby tires on there or
float,
something?
They float too. That's what those bikes were designed for, is for snow and sand.
Well, yeah, if you got smoothies on, wouldn't it be like riding an inner tube though?
Oh yeah, no, it'd be, But if I had a fat bike, I could ride it all winter, and I like riding in the cold. People think I'm crazy.
It hurts my lungs.
I drive my Miata with the top down in the winter. People look at me funny.
Well, because you're weird, Dane.
Yeah.
But I like that feeling on my lungs. I like when it hurts.
Oh man.
So. I look at it and go
alive.
and I like
because I'm almost not.
But I mean, I wouldn't mind. I'd be bundled up and I'd just be sitting there riding that little bike, and I could have some fun with it. So I don't know. So I've been watching a ton of YouTube videos on guys who have built their own versions and how they've gone about putting them together. Yes, there are ways that you can make it more streamlined, a lot nicer, but I'm trying to do this on a budget. And I don't want to spend $1,000 because if I'm going to spend $1,000, I'll just buy a bike that's already done.
It's like a whole bike at that point.
Yeah, I'll just buy a bike that's already done.
It's a couple bikes for some people.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I'm trying to do this just as like a fun, cheap project. I think all in, if I converted just my mountain or my cruiser bike, I could do it for under $200.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if I had to sell a bike, buy another bike, so get a fat tire bike and do the conversion, it's $400 because the Dolomite's about $200. Well, it's fat mongoose version. So
that does sound fun.
But I thought it'd just be a fun thing to make and have.
Totally. Yeah.
And like I said, if I could sell a bike like my single speed, sell it for $400, then I just use that money to build the next bike. So
there you go.
But then the question is, would my wife allow me to have another bike in the garage?
So that's the boss.
She'd be like, wait, you're getting rid of one bike to get another bike? So you're not really getting rid of any bikes? Like,
no, just upgrading.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. And, my cruiser was a very cheap bike. When I bought it on eBay, and it was one of those.
Now they're all trendy, though, so you can't find a cheap one anymore.
Mine's cheap, and if I sold it and put it up for sale, it would still be a cheap bike. So it's almost not worth getting rid of. Right. However, my wife has a very expensive Schwinn cruiser 7-speed that I remember new. We paid like $650 or $700 for it. And it's a gorgeous bike, but that's her bike. And that is, and I've got my tandems and
I suspect
and
that one's not going anywhere.
Yeah, her cruiser wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, she even pointed out she found an electric bike that she wanted, a cargo bike that she was like, I could throw the kids on and all this stuff. And I was trying to figure out how many bikes could I sell to make a dent enough to cover that. And she was like, well, no, I just liked it. I don't want it. Like, I'm not going to, that means selling my bike.
Don't give me mixed signals here. I
don't
thought
say
you
things
wanted
like that. I actually like.
Yeah, so it was
tunnel vision.
So it was funny. But and then I was like, maybe I can just buy a frame and I could take the components off one of these bikes and put them on there. And she's like, no, I don't want that either. Like,
for all you tinkerers out there, hit up Levi with ideas.
You have any bike questions, e-bike questions.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so that's where I've been. That's my rabbit hole.
And we're about to go down another rabbit hole in this case. Although for all the detailers who are listening to us right now, don't worry, this will be detailing related. Yeah. So, Anthony, you've been doing some detailing recently.
This is like a side part of every podcast recently.
Here we go.
Anthony's detailing
detail corner.
So for the people that don't know yet, I've been detailing a lot of these really nice cars on the side, pretty much. I'll say pretty consistently over these last few weekends.
It's a collection.
A collection is what it is, and so I've been doing
more
this
than a couple.
Just on my own as just a side gig here. And so this last weekend's project was a 65 Shelby GT350. And I think in the previous podcast...
GT350.
Yes, a real one. I think in the previous podcast I said 67. I'm sorry about that. It's not 67. That's a GT500. So this is a 65 GT350. And
the guy has two of them.
Two identical ones. They're both white with the blue stripes. They're both in... perfect condition. I mean, I'm gonna say perfect condition. I mean, as far as the
like the
restoration, yeah, it's perfect. So these are Mecum Barrett Jackson cars. They're very expensive, beautiful. I mean, you pop the hood and your jaw drops because I mean, it's that beautiful. So that was one of those cars was this project this last weekend, and I had been looking forward to doing this car, and so I pretty much approached this detail. I thought about it. I kind of mapped it all out in my mind, and I had a plan of attack, kind of what I wanted to do, and I already kind of had an idea on which products I was going to use, which pad I was going to use, which tools, and go from there. Now, if you've detailed a lot before in the past, then you know not everything goes according to plan, and you kind of have to sometimes. What's the word I'm looking for? You need to improvise. You need to switch it up on sometimes on the fly, and that's kind of what happened this weekend. And it wasn't not the most ideal car to have to switch up things, but it's it still happened, and I had to make do with it. So I went about Saturday morning, went over there at about 9:30 and started to get started on everything. I examined the car, went through everything with all the scan grip lights, and just kind of made note of any major imperfections or if there's any major paint flaws that I need to kind of point out, because at this point the car was in great shape. It was beautiful. However, it had some swirls, it had some deeper scratches. It was a repaint, so it's not the original paint, and you can tell that in a lot of areas, the prep work probably wasn't done properly to where you are seeing some deeper gouges beneath even the base coat. So I was kind of taking note of all those before I got started. Now, with that said, I set up all my stuff. I, got all excited. I went ahead and I did a rinseless wash in the car, rinseless wash on the car using O&R, because with a car this expensive and with this many intricate areas and all these little cracks and crevices, I'm not wanting to make a mess.
There's no way you're going to take a pressure washer or a hose to that.
No. And this is one of those, I really had to keep everything clean, and especially the areas surrounding me, because next to me is another identical GT350, and then next to that is a Ford GT, and then in front of that there's just, let's just say there's a lot of nice cars around me, so I have to be careful and be cognizant of what's around me. So I did a rinseless wash. After the rinseless wash, I did a clay the entire car. There wasn't any contamination on it, but I did want to just kind of smooth out the surface. So
if you're going to polish it anyway, then
and exactly, that's kind of how I was looking at it. So my first step was, as you guys should always do, is start with the least intrusive method. So I went ahead and I tried a green pad with a little bit of hyper polish and did a test spot just to kind of see how that was going to react with the paint. And it did okay, but I realized I'm going to need a little bit more cut than that. So that's when I bumped up to an orange HDO pad with my Rupes, my Mark II, my 21, and I started going to town on the fender and kind of started working my way on the top of the fender. After several passes, I realized that even that combination wasn't giving me the cut I needed to get out some of these swirls and some of these other scratches that were still on the surface clear. So
this repaint was kind of a tough,
hard
it was
paint. It was a harder paint than what I'm used to, because most of the cars I've done in the past, hyper polish has always been my go-to. I mean, I just change up the pad to a coarser pad if I need a little bit more cut, and I've always been able to do that. And I'm kind of, I guess we're all spoiled by hyper polish.
Right.
We're spoiled by the hyper.
Generally,
the hyper
it makes
twins.
life pretty easy.
Yeah, so. It's one of those. It's the pairing of those two products, the hyper compound and hyper polish, work for basically probably 90% of all paint jobs. So you could
easily.
You never have an issue, especially if you get kind of good. It almost jades you. Yeah. You kind of come from before you use them, you've got 5 or 6 different types of compounds that you play with.
Constantly
and then you're trying to figure it out.
Knock it down to these 2, because you're like, this is the perfect combination. And then when your perfect combination doesn't work, you're sitting there.
You're like, kind of
scratching your head for a second.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how that works.
Because I really didn't have anything else. And that was my mistake, is that this was a mobile detail job. So I had to bring everything with me. I still had a lot of extra product back at home.
And you're not a full detail shop.
And I'm not. not. No, I'm
everything under the sun.
You're having a fun side gig, but you also happen to know a decent amount of what you're doing because of your experience from working here and working with Levi.
And the products I buy and the products I invest to are things that I know I'm going to use. I mean, like for example, I have an hybrid that I brought with me for that project, and most people would think, you know, an hybrid it's a very small tool for very specific things, and this job happened to be one of those jobs to where that would come into play. So basically I had my 21, my hybrid, and then I had a little Porter cable with a 3-inch backing plate on it, which is actually still probably one of my favorite tools with that 3-inch backing plate because it just rips. But so using the Hyper Twins and going through it, I realized that I wasn't getting the cut I needed. I wasn't getting the finish I wanted, and I was spending way too much time on this car. I mean, if you guys have probably detailed in the past, you'll know that in your head, you kind of have this plotted time to how much time you can spend on this car to make up for, you know, how much money you're wanting to make total and the amount of hours you're putting into it. And I told myself that this should be a full 2-day job, no breaks, and just constantly, you know, hustling. And so at that point in the process, after I got done with a fender and portion of the hood, I had been into this project after, you know, doing the wash and clay and polishing. I was already into this almost 5 hours, and I was sitting there like, this, I can't do this. So this is taking way too long. Yeah. I need something else. And so back at my home, I had some 105, I had some 205, and 105 and me, like I have my relationship with using Meguiar's 105, it works. I know it works. It's going to work all the time. I've never had any major, it's old reliable is what it is, but I have a tendency to make more of a mess with 105 than I need to. And it's not because I'm overusing the product. I'm one of those guys that has bad luck where I turn my pad a certain way and it flings dust or product everywhere, and now I'm doing hours of cleanup duty.
And you take like hyper compound, hyper polish for granted because of the whole no dusting aspect. So when you do go to something else, even if it works good and it does, it's just the experience may be soured by that. So.
Yeah, and so you just don't really, you kind of forget that. Like I said, I'm spoiled by the Optimum products. So I'm sitting here thinking, man, I could really use something that's going to cut, that could maybe also possibly finish if I change the pad, something that's not going to dust, that I'm not going to be doing major cleanup with. So fortunately, I mean, my friend Brian Prescott over at Gearhead Detailing called me because he knew I was working on that car. So late in the day, he called me and said, hey, man, how's everything going? And I was just honest. I said, hey, it's not going how I anticipated. My typical setup isn't doing what I need it to do. And he's like, all right, hey, man, I got something down here at the shop I want you to come pick up. I got some stuff I want you to try. It's the best stuff you'll ever have.
And he's usually when you hear that, you kind of like,
and I'm kind of like, I'm like, all right.
Well, and you had been texting me photos, and I was like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not there, but just through the camera, I didn't know what.
Out of curiosity, do you know when the repaint happened?
I don't know when the repaint happened. So that was another hard part.
It almost looked like solvent pop was happening from the pictures that I saw. Now, I wasn't there, so I couldn't help you deduce that. But on the photos you were sending me, it looked like solvent pop, which for some of you guys that know, and don't know, it's basically the solvent sort of exhales from the surface of the clear and leaves a little bubble and leaves a little pock mark.
Little divot,
Yeah. And so that's what it was looking like to me.
Definitely can't leave it
But then
like
I was
that.
like, he was like, but it wasn't there before. He said it wasn't there before I started polishing. So then I was like, well, then it wouldn't have been that. So that was where we were having a hard time. So sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. So that's
kind
of, that's what's true. I was experiencing that with my current setup, and I just could not wrap my head around it. So Brian says, hey, come to my shop. I got some stuff for you. I'm asking, what is it? And he's like, it's this guy. He sells this stuff out of his house. It's like really like this product. It's kind of like a secret. It's like, I'm like, well, this isn't the time, Brian, for me to be testing out little secret products on a $500,000 car.
When you're talking a $500,000 car.
Yeah, I need a little more clarity on this. And he's like, trust me, just come down here, try it, do a test spot on your car. If you hate it, then just bring it back to me. So I literally jumped on my motorcycle at the end of the day. I rode 40 miles out to his place, picked up this stuff, came back.
Move closer, Brian.
And I know, Brian.
Live where you live.
Move closer, man. And so the next day, I same thing. Woke up in the morning, 9 a.m. Showed up at this house. I brought my Civic up next to my polishing equipment, and I did a test spot with this product. So it's called The Last Cut by Jace Price. So it's called The Last Cut, and it's called compounding glaze, but don't let that fool you, because there's no fillers.
Actually, closer because it's fisheye.
Oh, there we go. So there's no fillers in it. And it specifically says that. I mean, all over the bottle, there's no fillers. And so it's heavy defect removal, extended work time, high lubrication to reduce surface heat buildup, and it's really versatile with all sorts of pads. So I started doing a test spot on my Civic, and immediately, right off the bat, I noticed that it felt so similar to Hyper Polish. It had a very similar feel beneath the pad, and I loved it because there was no fling. It worked really well, and I was able to work it for a long time with my orange pad. So I said, you know what? All right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take it to the car. So
always test before you go.
Always test
the big show.
before you do this. And so I went to the car. I did an area on the GT350 that I hadn't done. I'm like, okay, let's see how this works out. So I put the orange HDO pad. I put this product on there, a couple pea-sized dots, spread it out with my finger, kind of prep the pad. Went to town, did a 2x2 area for, I don't know, I worked it for maybe a minute or something like that. And so on a speed setting, I think it was 3.5 on my Rupes. Pulled away, did a wipe, and my jaw dropped. Like straight up. Like I'm not fooling you guys. I'm not trying to, like, we don't even sell this product, so that's why I'm not trying to plug it. So
however,
maybe
Jace, reach out.
But
but Jace does sell our towels on his site.
He does,
which was a fun thing to find out when we started researching the product.
So this could be the start of something beautiful, Jace. But so my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. For one pass, what that paint looked like in comparison to what I had been doing. And that's the thing. I mean, it was more of a comparable thing to where I saw how much work I put into that and how much work I put into the other system I was using, and I couldn't believe how good that paint, not only did it finish, but the swirl removal, the defect removal, and just the shine. I mean, the clarity was unreal. And I was using scan grips. I was using 5 scan grip lights, and so
they're going to let you know if something's wrong. You will see it.
So I had my headlamp, I had my little handheld color match, I had my bigger color match, and so I was double checking this at all angles, and I was like, this is too good to be true. Like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing, or is my eyes playing tricks on me?
Right.
Do these defects really get removed?
Yeah.
And they did. And so I said, this is what I'm using on the entire car. And I used it with the Rupes, the 21. I used it with the Porter cable. I used it with the little hybrid. I used it on all the different pads that I had. And I just made sure my pads were clean. But what I loved about it is that there was little to no buildup. I was using a pad conditioner, but I had little to no buildup with it. And I loved that it was so similar to Hyper Polish in the way that all I needed to do was refresh my pad with a spray of O&R, at standard dilution, did a quick little spray, and I was able to work it even more. And the finish was just even better. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of say how awesome this was and how much this saved my butt, because using this yesterday, I finished the entire car.
Right. Yeah. And it looked great. And you sent pictures, and you were like, look how good it came out.
Chances are the vast majority of people have never heard of this. So it's good to, find new things that you actually like and actually work.
I know 2 other guys that are using this, and they're basically saying it's like the best kept secret so far. And I'm telling you right now,
so stop making it a secret, guys.
I would not have gotten that car done if it wasn't for that. And that's why I'm saying it's so great. I would have probably added an additional day onto the process I was doing. So I told Levi, because Levi hadn't seen this before either, and so I was so excited to show him. So I brought it today so he can.
So I'm going to play with it on one of our hoods downstairs and see what we can do. But again, this is just, it's pretty standard stuff. I put it on my nails. And rub my nails together.
Your nails a little bit.
Yeah. Well, no, when you do that, you can put a drop of a product, and that's how you can feel how gritty it is. Yeah. So if, say, this doesn't have a label and you don't know how it fits in your lineup between whether it's a compound, a polish, or a glaze, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So it is it's got a very light cutting ability, so to speak. It does feel more like hyper polish, like you said.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not
super gritty. I've had ones where you put on you feel like you're just rubbing
toothpaste.
Yeah,
on
you're rubbing
your
rocks back and forth on your nails. And again, that's just, you see me doing I put a little drop on my thumbnail and you just rub your nails together. That's how you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not an expert detailer by any means. I take in what I get from these guys and from the industry as a whole, but it's always been my concern that, you don't want to go too far too fast when you're correcting paint. You want to make sure you start calm. Yep. You start with your minimal methods and you build up from there if you're noticing you're not getting the results you want. I just wondered if this was like a 0 to 60 thing or if this was like a progressive.
No, this was one of those things that, I mean, it just depends on how long you work it. I mean, the more you work it, obviously, the more cut you're going to get. But I mean, for how long I worked it for, which was little to nothing, I worked it, but I mean, it was little to nothing in comparison to what I was working hyper polished for the same amount of cut, which, like I said, normally hyper polishes might go to, but with this particular paint, it just wasn't doing it. So it just is what it is. Every situation should be treated different, and I kind of forget that sometimes. So, but
well, and it's like you said, like we said at the beginning, once you get into hyper polish and hyper compound, it's very hard because they work for so many paints. It's very hard to step back outside of that, but it is always necessary to make sure that you have something else just in case those situations.
Yeah, don't limit yourself out of stubborn pride or some, loyalty or something like that. It's okay. It's okay to use other products. Find what works for your situation.
And in my shop, we had Ultra, which was a B&B blending product that we got through MVP. And then, and that was it goes by other names in the industry. But it is a product. It's in the industry, it's one of the most well-known cutting compounds, and that's what we used. We had that as our backup, and then for another, we had M205 as another, McGuire's M205 as another secondary polish.
I love M205 as well.
Just to have.
Great little polish to have.
Everything else was hyper compound, hyper polish, and intensive polish for everything else.
Yeah.
But it is good. Think of them as arrows in your quiver, so to speak. You always want to make sure you have enough of each thing. Now, I'm not saying go out and get 20 different cutting compounds because you're not going to use all 20 cutting compounds.
No, I was going to say
you have
two. And Levi comes from experience. He's had a lot of experience, lots of different products he's used, and he's got that, like mental callback. He can go back and go, I remember when I used this on this kind of situation. This was the result. Does it work? Yes, no. Anthony, he doesn't have as much experience with that stuff, so he doesn't have the recall maybe that Levi does, but you build those experiences so you have a catalog to go back to.
Like he had, where you find that what you're using isn't working.
And in a decade from now, he will have that recall and stuff.
I'll have probably plenty more of these moments,
but it's good not to limit yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So this stuff, I said, it saved my butt. So, Jace, you're making an awesome product here. So you guys can, if you guys want to find this product, you can only find it on his website. He's selling it out of his house, and so
you can find him online at Jace Prince.
I think
Jace
Price.
Yep.
Jace Price. Yep. And so, Jace, you can find his stuff, and then I think it's the last detail, the last cut is his website. You can find it
on the back.
I know. Don't go to thelastdetail.com. Otherwise you end up with like the Jack Nicholson movie or something. But
www.thelastdetailnv.com because he is based out of Nevada. So
there it is.
lastdetailnv.com.
And you'll also, like Levi mentioned, you'll find our towels on there as well.
That was a funny surprise to discover.
When you called him, he was like, I know who you are.
I know exactly who you are.
We were messaging, and he's like, I use your guys' towels, and I buy your guys' Eagles. So
and I watch your videos.
Our Eagles, so our Eagles are on his website, and that was funny because I used an Eagle to remove this compound because that's what was the softest and worked the best. And I was like, go figure. That's what he's pairing this up with. So, you'll be able to check more of that out. But other than that, though, I think the car turned out absolutely awesome. The owner called me later that night, and he was so happy and so impressed. I mean, and that means a lot for when somebody reaches out to you again saying how happy they are with it, because I was pumped on it. I was excited how it turned out, and he was even more excited.
Well, and he's new to this game. He's new to this where he's able to, when he saw the first car, he was wowed.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I want to do this to all of them. But it's neat when you get the second car done, and he's like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because he does understand that improvements can be made.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of showing somebody, and then they really see once you get the eye for like, oh, that's what a spider web is. Oh, that's what a swirl mark is.
And now he knows that Anthony's been able to set that sort of benchmark for him, so that not only
good luck, buddy.
So not only does he have to continue to reach that, but his customer now knows what to look for,
right?
Or at least knows what's possible when he goes and starts buying other cars, or he sells cars.
Who's the first guy he's going to call now?
Right.
Well, so I told him to. So I mean, and that's the thing. It is my friend's dad, and so we do it. So we are pretty cool. So we have a good relationship. So I took him around the car with all the scan grip lights, and I showed him our little scan grip pen light. So I showed him taking that up to the paint and being able to see the swirls and being able to see defects. These are things that he can look for when he's interested in buying a car. That's just something that he can examine, because when you have a car underneath these showroom lights at Barrett-Jackson or Mecum, they're always going to look good.
Because spray detailers
they're going to put some spray detail. They're going to make it look all poppy for that time. But then you get this car back in your garage, and it's still going to look good. I mean, it's still going to look good, but when you get up close and you take certain lights to it or pull it out in certain sunlight, you're going to see things that you didn't see before. And so showing him that and educating him on what's possible to remove and what isn't in the paint correction process was also really important for him to see. So now he has, like you said, this expectation of what could be achievable and what's not achievable. And so on this car, I would say that it was 90% corrected. I mean, to what I would consider almost perfection. So it really, really looked good, and I was really happy about it. And I'm looking forward to the other vehicles, and we're actually going to be filming the next GT350, and I am going to be using the last cut on that as well. Probably we'll do a test spot and see how it reacts, but
you never know.
It might be different paint on there for all we know.
It could be completely different, but this is something I'll definitely consider using for that. So we'll be filming that, and then I'm looking forward to the other cars. But this is just my detailing segment here on the Rag Company podcast.
It's fun because hopefully those of you that are listening to this are detailing. Yeah. And I know when I was a detailer detailing cars and listening to podcasts, I always liked listening to stories of other people working on a project or learning about a new product and using it or working with it, and just working it out and seeing. And then if maybe I had that same product, or I could, I've at least got an opinion on that product.
Hearing others solve problems really helps with your own problem solving a lot of times, because you're like, that's how they think, so I don't feel as weird about how I think.
And then maybe
come to solutions.
From their experience, you don't have to make that same mistake, because maybe they say something, hey, this happened to me. Okay, and you could take that and say, okay, well, now I can avoid maybe that in the future.
And you might make new mistakes, but hey, everybody's got to do something at some point, so don't be afraid. Just understand that there's always more information out there to be gotten. Get it.
Yeah. So
terrible grammar.
What a fun podcast. we covered a little bit of SEMA, covered some YouTube videos, covered some detailing topics. So hopefully everybody got a little piece of information that they like.
But I will point out one thing that you mentioned was, showing him afterwards, like showing him what to look for and stuff. A better informed customer is good for everybody except for those shady detailers. Like if you're honest and you're straightforward and you really teach your customer what to look for, that's a good thing. That absolutely is. Whether you're selling products, selling details, whatever it is, the more informed someone can be, it's good.
Yeah. No, and it's true, and that's always a good part of it.
That's why we do this. That's why we do our videos, all that stuff. So, any rate, I think that about ties it up, guys.
Yeah, we don't have much more this week. We're, like you guys said, we're going to be doing you're going to go do the drive part of the Wash Wednesday part with Tyler. Again, we are just trying to get stuff done for SEMA, which is coming up in another month. We had crazy cold weather last week.
Yeah, what
this
happened?
week it's supposed to be in the 70s. Thankfully, it was in the high 50s and mid-30s all week.
No, it just felt like the temperature got slashed in half overnight.
It was cold. I wasn't prepared for that. I showed up in shorts and a t-shirt every day because
it was 90 the week before.
I refuse to accept the fact that it's getting colder.
It's Boise.
Yeah.
All right.
And today we're, the rest of the week will be in the 70s, which is good. And so it's going to be a good week. We got a lot of extra stuff to do. Anthony, you're going to go out and work on that next car.
Yeah.
Win.
Yep. And I'll work with him.
I don't know. Well,
on that for the videos.
I'll find out some details here pretty soon. So
well, cool guys.
All right. Well, okay. I'm going to close her up here by saying absolutely. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're listening to us on iTunes or you're watching us on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button either way.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah,
too.
and
thumbs
a
up.
little like, is great. If you give a thumbs down, hey, that's still interaction. So
we'll take it.
that.
Don't know
we'll take what we
why.
can get. Yeah.
YouTube looks at it all the same. Hate to
Thought we
disappoint
were having
you.
a good time here.
Yeah, I know. I thought you guys liked us. Oh,
That's kinda weird.
okay. But, what really helps, actually, is leaving a comment if you're on the YouTube channel, or if you're on iTunes, leave a review. That's really helpful. I've noticed some more people have actually gone out there and done that now, and it's great. And you know what? I want to hear your honest feedback. If you want us to talk about certain things, let us know.
Yep.
And by that token, I would say become a member of the Facebook group where you can actually talk about the episodes. You can talk with us, and we can kind of build that community just the same way we've done
Just
Detox,
go on there
all
and
that
find
stuff.
everything that the Rag Company has done on Facebook. And
We do a
all
lot
of it.
Yeah.
and we
Just do it
promise
all.
Please like all of our
You won't be
channels and pages and
disappointed.
everything. You will love it.
Yeah. We don't need to keep selling you guys. Yeah.
No,
So
I'm still going to push it, though. I'm still going to push it because I
So-
try. Anyway, thank you all for listening and or watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
yeah.
All right.
See you
take
guys.
care.
See you guys.
Bye.